think the community shocked me in the best way possible. I think just in a lot of times in business school, it's a little competitive, to say the least, and just having everyone just offer to help. I'm someone who kind of struggles with asking for help as well, so people just offering it kind of helps me break out of that shell. And that was honestly the biggest surprise, just how welcoming and how helpful and how willing people are to help, since everyone's win is kind of the program's win, and that's all kind of what we want at the end of the day. So
welcome to another episode of the Intersection Podcast, brought to you by the Georgia Tech Scheller College of Business. I'm your host, Analisa Wade. I'm a second-year full-time MBA student here, and I'm very excited to bring to you another first semester debrief episode. We have 3 first-year students here that are going to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their background. Are y'all excited to be here?
Yes, cool.
Yeah. I'm so excited because we haven't really interviewed as many first years as I would have liked to so far. So, starting with you, Hanan, can you tell us your full name and what brought you to Scheller?
Absolutely. My name is Hanan Musa. So prior to Scheller, I worked for a private equity real estate investment firm in Buckhead, and I worked in investor relations. So did that for 4 years, and I was kind of thinking about long-term where I see myself and what I would like. And I wanted to be in a management role. I liked the investor relations, but I was more looking into wealth management, having my own practice kind of thing. And it just seemed like getting an MBA at that time was perfect.
Yeah.
And then as far as Scheller, a lot of my friends went here, so I just had firsthand experience for 2 years. And yeah, it was an easy choice.
Awesome. And Prem, what about you? Full name and what brought you here?
For sure. So I'm Prem Rupawala. I am from the UK, as you can probably hear. I actually did my undergrad in law and decided that I didn't want to go down the law route. And at the same time, I was a professional musician for a few years, which was a lot of fun. And then following graduation, I actually worked in technology consulting for about 3 years or so, and realized that I actually wanted to move into, slightly away from digital implementation projects to slightly more focused on strategy and higher level strategy work. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to come over to the States and do an MBA and hopefully pivot into consulting, and that's kind of what I'm looking to do.
Yeah, I didn't know about the musician part.
Yes,
we'll have to talk about that in a few.
We'll definitely. I'll show you some music later.
Yeah, I love that. And Kelsey, what about you?
Hi, I'm Kelsey Chen, and before Scheller, I was a business analyst in a e-commerce retail in the e-commerce retail industry, doing global revenue and strategy operations. I worked there for 4 years, but I realized that I wanted to do more. I felt like I got enough out of the role, so I was looking into business schools. And interestingly enough, I didn't really know about Scheller until my boyfriend suggested that I should look into Georgia Tech because he was a Georgia Tech alum for undergrad. And so I did, and the more I looked into it, the more I was like, wow, this is the place I want to be. Coming from a small college myself, the small cohort was just amazing, and that's exactly what I wanted, and I definitely found it. So
that's great. So I guess really quickly, what was your first impression of Scheller whenever you had your first interaction? What was that, if you can recall?
So for me, it was one of my good friends invited me to a tailgate. And so it was a much more relaxed environment. I got to see how everyone interacted with each other. They were very friendly. Clearly, they were very smart as well. And they welcomed me. And it just seemed like it was a great community that I saw myself in.
That's beautiful.
For me, my first interaction with Scheller was actually with Dave Dieters. I had a meeting with him.
Oh, gosh.
I remember as well, I remember vividly because, in the UK we're 5 hours ahead. So it was after work, I was very tired. But I came onto the call with him, and he just had this incredible infectious energy that everyone knows about Dave. And just kind of when I spoke to him, I was like, he really sold the school, but he was also keep your options open. There's lots of things that you can potentially do if you're looking to an MBA. But I think everything he told me about Scheller I was pretty quickly sold on it. So that was my first interaction. Then he kind of got me in touch with others like Rebecca and kind of the admissions team, and kind of getting in touch with some other students who had previously been at Scheller as well. And I kind of was starting to build that network and really realizing that this is the place I want to be. So Yeah, it all started with Dave.
Dave is phenomenal. I have like a similar story.
Yeah.
We got on a call, and it was because my actual career advisor wasn't available at the time, and he was. And I was like stressed out trying to do my entry resumes and stuff. And we just spent the whole call talking about art. Like I don't know what happened, but somehow he still helped me figure out like my like panic attack. But he was talking about how much he loves art and this, that, and third. And I was like, wow, you're great. It just made me so excited for the next step at Scheller.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's great. Do you remember yours, Kelsey?
Well, technically for me, my first interaction with Scheller was my interview. That being said, that was definitely the best interview I had because it was so, like, I guess casual in a way, where it was just very comfortable, super conversational. The questions kind of just flowed, and it was kind of like a conversation more so than an interview. I really got to see kind of just how the school was in terms of administration as well as the students, since, you know, you have someone from the admissions team as well as the second year. So that was really awesome. And then when I first came here, I literally just packed up everything and moved to Atlanta 2 days before orientation. Once I met everyone, it was so nice. It was a little awkward, as everyone is, because we just said hi to every single person possible in the room.
Yeah.
But I think it was really welcoming, and it was just fun. It was a great time, and I knew it was the place to be.
Yeah. I remember my first day too. It just felt like, wow, I made the right decision. I knew like instantly. So we talked about your first experience here, your first experience with Scheller. Let's talk about your first semester. You're wrapping up, which is like crazy. It flew by. I know you're like this time flew by, but like, what was different than what you expected? So you had your first experience, and then now you're a whole semester in. Like, what is different than what you thought it would be? Maybe Hanan, you could start.
So I heard from a lot of my friends that already graduated that the first semester feels like you're drinking from a fire hose. I heard that so much, and I'm like, I'm good at time management. Like, there's no way. I have a schedule, I have a calendar. Like, no, it's fine. It's a lot. It really is. And I think I would say carving out like your own time to just kind of like decompress, because there is like the social events, there's the committees, clubs you'd like to participate in. There is the group work. There's assignments. There's the networking, coffee chats, et cetera, et cetera. There's right, and it's very exciting, and it's a lot. And so, time management, that is a skill that I learned very quickly. I had to. So it was something I wasn't expecting, and I thought I could handle. And I think it kind of threw me off, but then I bounced right back into it, and I feel good going forward about it. But
I exactly the same. I'm like, I can handle this, because it's like anything. You know, you start grade school, it's going to be so hard, and then it's not that bad. Then you start in grade school, and it's like, oh, it's really that bad. It's actually worse. This is what they're talking about. Prem, what about you?
Well, honestly, I was gonna say something similar. Like, I certainly echo that. I thought like, I've worked, very busy long days. I've been busy for a long time.
Yep.
I thought I could handle it. But it's just like, it's the amount of context switching you have to do, because it's like, okay, you got class here, then, in my situation, also GRA work. Then there's also like meeting all these brand new people. In my situation as well, it's like so much life admin to sort out now living in the US. Like a lot of stuff changed, and it was... That type of stuff was like, okay, I thought it was going to be easy, but I was like, no, seriously, you got to work that out and make time for it. One thing I would say, though, on top of what you said, Hanan, is like, what I've found to be super helpful is just everyone here is wanting to help you succeed.
Yeah.
And I think, if you're very open about the fact that you're busy or, you're struggling, and the great thing about some of the teams is, you can lean on people, at least there's everyone at Scheller, I think, and that's the benefit of the small class size. You get to know people pretty well, and I think you're able to lean on them when you need the help, and most people do. So as much as you'll lean on others will also lean on you, and I think it creates that great community that we have here. So that's one thing I was unexpected about, because I was just like, I thought I could handle it. It was very real, but then it was also like another expectation was a great part about Scheller is its community, and I think that's also kind of mitigates the fact that you have a lot of work to do and it can be overwhelming at times. So that's what I would say on top of that.
1000%.
Well, for me, going into this, I had already kind of switched my mindset being like, okay, I'm going to be a student again. There's classwork. You got to pivot. I was actually more worried about the social aspects and the networking parts, since that's not really what I was used to. It's not really something that I prefer. So just going into it knowing that that was going to be a big part of the whole program and everything, I was kind of bracing myself for it. And it really helps that I'm not in consulting. That's great. But, to piggyback on you, I think it just the community shocked me in the best way possible. I think just in a lot of times in business school, it's a little competitive, to say the least, and just having everyone just offer to help. I'm someone who kind of struggles with asking for help as well. So people just offering it kind of helps me break out of that shell. And that was honestly the biggest surprise, just how welcoming and how helpful and how willing people are to help, since everyone's win is kind of the program's win, and that's all kind of what we want at the end of the day. So
For sure.
That was another Dave thing too, because I think during orientation, at least he told us, we don't compete here.
Yeah.
What is it? Your competition is not in Scheller. Did he say that to y'all
Yeah.
too?
Yeah,
It's a collaboration.
It's a collaboration. I'm just like, man, whatever. And then it really is even down to our class. I'm not sure if y'all are at this stage yet, but we have helped people prep for interviews, even if we're competing for the same thing. That was a
sure.
huge wow, whoever gets the job, but let's just let's work on it together.
Yeah.
And then speaking of shocks, a big shock to me. Doesn't seem like it's a problem with your class. I just didn't know how quickly recruiting would pick up. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go to class, I'm going to do my thing, and then I'll slowly start figuring out what I really think I want to do. And it's orientation day 1, people have already interviewed.
Yes.
They have a list. Jose has a whole spreadsheet with y'all. He's my mentee. I'm like, oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So tell me about that. Where are you in the recruiting process? Did you expect it to be what it is? I know I'm putting you on Front Street, but tell me how that's going right now.
I think that was something that I didn't realize started so early on. I'm like, we haven't even taken...
I don't even know anything.
Exactly. What am I going to talk about, as far as my business school experience, because I haven't started? Am I late? It was just... I don't know, there was a little bit of anxiety with that, depending on which industry you want to go into. One of the first ones I learned early on was investment banking. I think I saw, it was at the Forte conference. It was deadline was, I don't know, late July or something. I was like, wow. How? And then I found out about pre-MBA programs with consulting, and I was like, I didn't realize that was a thing. So it's I got to get on it if this is what I need to do. And it's just, I think it's overwhelming. But figuring out what it is that you're good at and figuring out what skills you'd like to have to add on to the things that you're good at will help you in the direction that you want to go into.
Yeah.
So for me, I was consulting.
Yeah.
That's where I really like it. I enjoyed the casing, and I think I have a lot to offer given my background. And then I think with more conversations, this is where the coffee chats come in.
Yeah.
So with more conversations, I was like, I don't really see the lifestyle working out for me. And I know it could be a short term, but I think finding out what I'm good at, the skills that I need, helped me in the direction. So I was like, so now I'm not too stressed about missing the deadlines for consulting.
Yeah.
Because I know the direction that kind of want to go into. So saying that, I'm still interviewing.
And just for clarity, so you were really heavy only consulting, and now you're...
So now I'm going into...
And it's okay if it changes.
And yeah. Doesn't it always?
Yeah. Today.
Yes. Today, right now, in this moment, I'm looking more into, I guess I mentioned earlier, the wealth management.
Yes.
So staying within kind of real estate or staying within client solutions, relationship, kind of that's where I thrive. So within an organization, that's the value that I can add on. And so those are the roles that I'm looking into. And the company in New York just so happened to have that. So I was like, this is great. And I've had my eye on the company for quite some time too.
Wow.
So I think letting go of consulting, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Even though I was going hard for it in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very powerful what you're saying is figuring out, even if you are, I'm on this path, this is what I'm doing, and then that changes, it's okay. I went through the same thing because I was 100% in consulting. I had to just be real with myself. I don't really want to do that. Like, that's really what it came down to.
Yeah.
Not knocking anyone who does, but it's like knowing me. Could I really see myself doing it, or does it just sound good?
Yeah,
And then-
there is like that FOMO.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone is kind of going into it. But it's not for everybody, and it's okay. It's okay. There's so many other things that you can find besides that. Or it could be,
I love that for you. Very, very powerful. Stick to it. As the program continues to go on, it'll come back. Remember your
Thank you.
why statement and what you want to do.
Yeah.
So Prem, recruiting.
Yeah,
What's going on?
Well, mine is a lot more my journey is a bit more focused on consulting. I've came into the program knowing that that's kind of what I wanted to do anyway. But also I have kind of the added dimension of, I'd like to try and get sponsorship to stay here, like post-internship if possible. So that kind of narrows options in some degree. And I think that kind of has mainly pushed me towards consulting and also some like PM tech roles as well. So those are the things I'm really considering. I think right now, given it's kind of that heavy recruiting for consulting, and we had a bunch of coffee chat and networking events kind of last month, I think this is kind of that intense period for it, and kind of case interviewing and practice has kind of started as well. But for me, I kind of just enjoy the process of it. So I think, we'll see how it goes, but ultimately I am enjoying it. I just think on top of everything else, it just becomes a bit overwhelming. But I don't think my focus has like wavered so much. I still feel like this is what I want to do, and I'm going to kind of stick with it. And then, again, you can only plan so much, right? You got to plan, you got to have some backups, and then just see what happens. And, I'm sure things will find their way to kind of work out in the end, but it's making sure you can have a path and you can plan as much as you want, but then you do need to be flexible enough to pivot if you need to. And I think keeping good relationships, keeping like your coffee chats, keeping in touch with people, making sure you're vocal about the types of things that interest you and excite you, can lead to opportunities. And I think our Career Services Center is really good at that as well. So yeah, I think things are going in the direction I want them to for now, but that's not to say things might not change. We know how crazy this kind of time is in general, so definitely got to be open to changes.
There's this quote about like being flexible about the journey, but having a goal. So how you get to your destination could lead you so many different ways, but you'll get there.
That sounds like a Dave line too.
Oh,
It does. Just quote him. Anything that sounds like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's great too, Prem, is you came in and you knew exactly what you wanted and you're following the path. Even though it's challenging, it probably makes it more enjoyable in the sense of like, I'm doing exactly what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, also I think in my situations, like I wanted to come to the US and now I've made that kind of leap. I feel like now I'm kind of continuing to work towards what I've wanted to do for a long time. So, whether that ends up being consulting or somewhere else, like, I guess those are kind of details to a wider ambition. So I still feel like I'm on the right track, and I guess that's what's keeping me going, keeping me motivated. But yeah, we'll see how it kind of progresses through the recruiting season. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. For sure.
All right, that's good. As long as you're having fun.
Yeah,
Stay at it.
I sure am, yeah.
Kelsey, where are you?
Well, so, kind of like Prem, I already knew what I wanted to do for the most part coming into the program. I not have a lot of friends. It's more I know a lot of people in consulting and with quite a few close friends who had done consulting. And I already knew that was not the life I wanted to do. It just didn't sound fun. Casing, horrible to me. I dislike it with a passion.
Yeah.
So it was not for me. And I do want to go into like product management and tech, and I already knew that's where my passions were and that's where my interests are. And based on the Clifton Strengths tests and all those tests that we took over the summer, that seems to be where my strengths lie.
Okay.
So with the core classes, with accounting, finance, and even marketing, I'm just like, I know where I'm interested in, and I know what I'm good at, and it kind of like validates my path and just kind of motivates me to keep going. And I think I wasn't so shocked with. I was actually more shocked that recruiting wasn't as early as I thought it was, because for me, I thought consulting recruited a lot earlier, but I think that's for undergrad, where and like consulting and finance, they do it so early for undergrad. But here, you know, it's obviously you have to have more tests and more hoops to jump through, so it's a little more delayed. And
but
then
how much earlier did you think? Like it's like 2 months in.
I literally thought that people were going to be interviewing like in October. Like that's what I thought it was. I thought like and then the offer would come in. I thought the offers would come in like November, and everyone would have an internship by all the consulting people would have internships by November.
That would be great. That would be a nice holiday.
Wouldn't we all? But you know, going into tech, it's really interesting how I just feel like in the past month, all of these internships have just now popped up. So it's kind of now just a waiting game, I would say. And I've done everything I can. I have my own tracker with all my little formulas. My spreadsheet with all the formulas and automations, drop downs, and color.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's automated.
That is very Kelsey.
So it's kind of just, you know, waiting for things to happen. And I already freaked out at my career advisor, and she said, "You are not far at all. You're actually as in it as you possibly can be right now." So that helps. I think just all of the different recruiting events that consulting has, it feels like I'm behind because there's just not as many in tech. It's not as involved.
For sure.
But, you know, everyone finds their own path.
Yeah, find your own path. I love that you all have your own journey. And you seem really like you're sticking to it. Our class was not like that.
It does change.
But listen, you sound like confident in it. Our class was like 95% consulting.
Oh, wow.
And then like come like, what are we in now? November, okay, 80, okay, then 70, 60, then it's like 40%. Yeah. So it sounds like you were on like a good path.
Yeah.
Enough of the stressful stuff. What about fun? So how are you going to socials? Like what does that look like? Do you have a favorite event that you've been to? All of that. I'm going to start with you, Prem.
Sure. Well, for me, you know, going to the tailgates, that's a brand new experience for me. And I've loved it. It's been great.
Even the early ones?
The early ones were the ones where kind of introduced me to that world. You know, the whole concept of American football as well is all new to me. I love it though. I was saying to a bunch of people recently that I love how, you know, the community behind your college team and like how you just kind of root for them. Yeah. Been here for, I remember it was like the second or third week where I went to the first game and I was just like, wow, like I feel like a yellow jacket now. Like I'm going to ride or die, even though I hear that they could be better.
We won.
Yeah.
It's been winning. It was a really big win.
Yeah. Took down number 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like that, you very quickly get into the whole.
It's the pride.
Yeah, the pride of it, and I do love that.
Pride.
I got to say that's not really the biggest thing in the UK. So I love that kind of community feel. I imagine, you know, with kind of schools and especially in the South, I've seen that as a big culture here in the US. So I really like that, and I think the tailgates are like an extension of that. So and obviously they're fun, and it's a great chance to like not talk about school, not talk about recruiting and whatever, and just have a good time, play some games, have a few drinks with, you know, our classmates and friends, and the Scheller community alum come as well. So that's really nice. And on top of the tailgates as well, I've also enjoyed just kind of some of our Thursday socials that we get to have as well, and some of them have been really fun. I remember we did it was like there's hobby nights as well that we get to do,
those are nice,
which are really fun. And then around Halloween we did like the canvas painting, which Hanan and I actually both went to, which was at Hanan's place. That was really, really nice. So I think there's a bunch of good things that we get to do around school, which I think make all the difference when, as I said, like it's incredibly intense this first semester. You've got to make time for that, otherwise you can definitely drown. So you don't want to do that. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Kelsey?
So I'm a tennis player, and it was actually really cool to find a pretty big population of our cohort who likes playing tennis. Prem and I actually, Prem's good. He won't say it, but he's good.
I can't say it in front of Kelsey. She's insanely good.
Yeah.
You know, I can hit a ball.
But it was just like really nice that like in the mornings we'll, just go to the parking deck. Weird, they have courts on top of parking deck.
There's courts there. It's not
There's
just
courts there. It's
random.
not just. But we will play there. We played doubles with Sarmi and Diego. So it was just like it's just really fun. And I've also joined the club tennis team. That is not. It's just to kind of move away from Scheller because that's something that I really wanted to do since I was missing the competition, and that's been really fun to be able to just play again. And it does help that the practice courts are right across the street from me, so it's really convenient.
As you can hear, I'm not much competition for Kelsey. So
Well, no,
you need
it's
to find real competition.
I wanted to play like in a a tournament.
Yeah, no, I
like
get
we're
you.
not going to be playing a tournament against each other. That's a
very
little
true.
weird.
That's very true, and it would be very one-sided.
It'll be very short.
Perhaps, yeah.
You're at like every social.
Yes.
I'm tired. That was one of my favorite things, and that's how I kind of got familiar with Scheller, was through the socials of my friends that were already in the program. So yeah, I think I would say my favorites, in addition to the tailgates, it's the hobby nights, because you get to kind of walk into the realm of people that are just very passionate about this thing, and they bring you in it. But it was like a very relaxed environment. And they get to know your teammates and that kind of like social setting.
Love a paint and sip.
It was so
Yes.
Love a paint and sip.
Sip and paint. But no, that's really important.
Yes.
Like having that time to just relax and just like unwind with like friends in the cohort or just with anyone, like because you're doing so much at all times and it feels like it's never ending. So I could see that being very relaxing. Do you have any like favorite courses that you've taken? Just one. What's your favorite course?
I said this to my friends and they were like, "Excuse me," which was accounting.
I knew.
Oh, that makes sense for you. Yeah.
It's not even the subject. I love Blanc.
Yeah.
He's just so great.
Yeah.
He's very passionate about, our professor is very passionate about accounting, and he teaches it in a way that is, for one, it's interesting, and two, it's applicable, because we do have like the work experience of working in some sort of, whether it's supply chain or in business or in analytics, whatever it may be, he finds a way to connect it so that you're engaged in the classroom. So I look forward to the 9:30 in the morning accounting class because of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. I think that was the biggest surprise for me, I think. When I saw the kind of schedule and the classes that we had, I was like, accounting for the whole semester, I was like, woof, that's going to be a lot. But actually, it's been my favorite class for sure. And I think, Professor Blanc makes it so much more enjoyable. I'd also say I really enjoyed the first half of the semester. We had a good class called Analytical Tools. I enjoyed that a lot. I think that was, Ravi was really fun, and I really enjoyed his style of teaching as well. So that was a fun class for me too. But yeah, I think those probably two are my favorite ones that we've done so far. But I'm also enjoying the ones that we had this semester, like marketing has been fun.
We said one. You can't like all of them.
Okay, right.
He's going down the whole list. And shout out to
Actually, I got to shout out Tim Halloran. He's my GRA. I love the marketing class. But yeah.
I can see him calling you out.
Right.
You get to watch SNL skits.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm kidding. Kelsey.
I want to say something different. I do like Professor Blanc, not necessarily accounting, but the professor is fantastic. As weird as this sounds, I really enjoy MIR, which is Managing Info Resources.
I was waiting for one of you guys to mention it. Yes.
Not necessarily the pace of the course, more so I do really enjoy the material. And it's something that I am interested in, and I kind of have a background in, so I guess I have an advantage in a way, because it is very, very fast paced.
It is.
So,
What is it, like 8 weeks? Yeah.
it's so fast. And there's just so much to cover, but yeah, I do really enjoy it.
Yeah, a little technical at times as well.
I do enjoy the technical
Yeah,
parts.
it is.
I do
on it.
enjoy
I've been
the
enjoying
technical
it too.
parts.
And like all of like his material, all his sources, it's very current. So when he's talking about like
Yeah, it's not old
Yes.
stuff.
yes,
Like I
yeah.
do appreciate how integrated ChatGPT is, and
Yeah.
that he kind of encourages using it with the caveats of don't rely on it.
Yeah.
So I do really enjoy that class.
So he was my favorite professor first semester, and this is why. His time management is to a different degree.
I respect that.
Listen, there was one class, there was 60 slides. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
true.
And I made it my mission that class. I paid attention a little bit, but I made it my mission to say, let me see how much he gets through. This is crazy. And when I tell you he finished on the dot,
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I was like, does he time himself? Like, how does he do?
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Love him.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is.
wrapping up, last question. What are you looking... Okay, it's going to be like 3 questions in one. What are you most looking forward to in your next semester? And then also, what did you learn about yourself in this semester? Like, what's different?
The confidence that has grown within me of just being able to speak about myself, or I think I was like very nervous about asking questions or participating because I haven't been in school in a minute. That confidence is like ever so slowly just kind of like going up and up. And that's something that I would like for it to keep going. For the second semester, I'm just like a little bit stressed, so I'm just hoping for a little bit more free time.
Yeah.
You guys seem a little bit more relaxed, so I would like to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get there. I don't think it came from me until really like now.
Oh,
Like the end. Yeah. Like the end of the second to last semester, but maybe it'll happen for you sooner.
okay.
Yeah, I think for me, similar as well. I think I'm certainly looking forward to a little bit more time, or at least doing some of the kind of electives that we get to choose, which is going to be really nice. I think we get to kind of scope out what our concentrations look like now. So I think we're going to be doing more of the things that I think will align to what we want to do.
Do you know what yours are? Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, I've applied for a few different things, and I'm still kind of waiting to hear back
Okay.
on the international practicum. I'm looking forward to going on that as well, but we're kind of waiting to see where that goes. But either way, I think just kind of having the option to kind of broaden our horizons a little bit and try. I'm quite interested in trying things that I haven't done before,
Yeah.
which is exciting to me, like valuing tech firms, which is kind of an
I'll be
interesting
in there
like
too.
finance class. Yeah, exactly. So I think that will be fun to try out. And I think similar to what Hanan said, I think this semester has really taught me that, I haven't done this kind of intense recruiting before, and having to go into a room and be able to talk about yourself for a long time and stuff like that. I think it teaches you how to speak better. I think you can get more comfortable with who you are and what your story is, and I think that's been really great. So I'd like that to continue, but I also like, hopefully, if things go to plan, that things will be a little bit lighter next semester. And I can try and enjoy a bit more of the city, because that's one thing. Like, I've moved to a completely new city, and I feel like I haven't been able to explore it that much.
This
Other
week.
than some evenings where obviously we have some socials, and which is great, but I feel like there's a lot that I still want to explore in Atlanta, and there's a great music scene. I'm a musician. I want to, explore more of that. And I feel like I haven't had time to. So I'm hoping that I have more time for that next semester.
You want to be a tourist?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'll be a
Why
tourist
not?
with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I only know the path from
I'll show you around.
I
Yeah.
only know the path from my apartment to Scheller. That's basically what I do every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, hopefully I can get to do that next semester, which will be fun.
And just really quickly, so just to make sure I'm clear, so about yourself, you said you learned how to speak more about yourself, like more confidently,
Yeah,
is what
I
you're
just
saying?
think that's actually it's very antithetical to like do that in the UK. I think people they feel weird about talking about themselves, and I know, not to generalize, but in America people like doing that a whole lot more than they do back in the UK, and I think in many ways it's a good thing as well. I think it was good practice for me, especially when I'm looking towards a career which is obviously very client-focused, people-focused, and it's only a positive thing to get better at speaking in general, but also learning and speaking about yourself. And I think when you articulate your own story many times, I think you get to kind of know yourself a little bit better, even though you've done all those things before.
Yeah.
I think it helps you just feel more comfortable in who you are and what you've done and where it leads you to where you are today. So yeah, that's what I found pretty helpful.
That's great.
I guess for me, what I'm looking for the next semester, fingers crossed, internships and being done with the recruiting for this job.
Yes,
Like,
please.
I'm gonna be honest, like, that's the one I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I just want to get an internship and be done with the search for
Yeah.
until ideally not next year, but like, you know,
Just be done.
just be done with
That
the
was me.
recruiting process. Oh my goodness, that's the big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think just the biggest thing that I learned was to kind of just stay true to myself and just be, you know, like Hanan said, be more confident and more comfortable. Since, you know, we got to know our boundaries, and there's a certain point where you just got to say no.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take some time for myself to just do what I need to stay sane. So I think that was the biggest thing, just being able to know when to not go to things and just be like, just let it go, because there will be other times as well, as not being like, oh man, like everyone else is going, all these people are doing this, they're doing this, do I have to sign up for this?
Yeah.
Like, yes and no. It's like, yes, if you have the mental capacity, but if you don't, then it's really not worth it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned, that, you know, mental capacity management, I guess,
Yeah.
more so than time management, in my opinion,
Yeah.
is.
I think like just one day of doing nothing does me wonders.
Oh, yes.
I do not need to leave the house. I just need to
Yes.
relax and just like watch my favorite show,
Yeah.
cook, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Helps me unwind. Yeah.
Very needed, yeah.
1000% agreed. I've been saying no a lot more, as we were talking about earlier, and it just feels good. It makes time for like additional things. Like I like to play games, video games specifically, and like I played Call of Duty Black Ops, and it was I honestly had a great time. I'm like, wow, like it was just great. So agree with everything you said. You guys are doing amazing. Your first semester, wrapping it up, and just continue to push through. It does get easier, I promise.
I hope so.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I hope you enjoyed being on the Intersection podcast. Did you guys have a good time?
We did. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah?
it was so much fun.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank
Well,
you for having
great.
us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Intersection podcast. We hope you rate and subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Thanks again.